Warning, I am not a pro, nor am I good in one way or another. I am just trying to help you out. I never won an evil, and I never will. Who starts a guide like that? That doesn't inspire confidence.
Transcending history and the world, a tale of souls and swords, eternally retold.
SoulCalibur.
No! Damn scum! Shut up!
Okay.
MAGGOT!
I get it. I'll move. Okay.
SoulCalibur 6!
As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, my name is Ramiro and I love SoulCalibur and video games. This is my alternative guide to beginners who are trying to become the ultimate Astaroth. However, if you aren't a beginner, stick around and you might learn something new. Psych! It's Astaroth. You already know everything. But seriously, I need the views. Please stick around. But to know how to be a good Astaroth, one must get to know the Astaroth. Be the Astaroth. Let the Astaroth come in you. Wait, what? Never mind. Now, this is Astaroth. Wait. He is balder and has an axe? Motherfucker, this ain't Street Fighter. And not Asian. Wait, is Koen Asian? Oh, I get you. Wrong fighting game franchise. All right. Pack it up, boys. Video's over. Now, this is an Astaroth.
Side boy.
Oh, that's not him either. But isn't he blessed by the Greek gods or some bullshit?
Boy.
Oh, he doesn't say boy.
Boy.
Okay. Wait, Astaroth has an actual definition. Wait, Astaroth is not a made-up word. Okay, let's take a look at that. Astaroth. Astaroth is the 29th spirit listed in the Goetia who governed 40 legions. He appears as a hurtful angel riding a dragon-like beast and carrying a viper in his right hand. Those who summon him need the magical ring to guard against Astaroth's breath. He gives true answers, knows of past, present, and future events, can discover secrets, and can also describe the fall of himself and the other spirits. He also teaches liberal sciences. Contrary to what many overweight, empathetic video game players may think, SoulCalibur did not invent the name Astaroth, otherwise there would be a copyright to it like there is for Necrid. Here is Astaroth used in a sentence. I would not like to meet Astaroth and his legions in a dark alley. Wait, what even is this source? Oh, Urban Dictionary? Seems legit. Oh yeah, this was a guide video. I should probably get back to the guiding process. Hey, go back to guiding. Cut the shit out. Let's start again from the beginning. Also, quick message from one of the game's producers.
がスピリッツです。その他、いろんなモードもご紹介していきます。それはさておき、お伝えすべきことがあります。先頃、製品版のすべてのファイターを紹介したと言いましたが、以上をもちまして、大乱闘スマッシュブラザーズスペシャル発売前の最終ダイレクトを終了したいと思います。が、最後に、
Astaroth. The axe of destiny has just been grinded. Your soul is next. Batman. Chop, drop, and roll.
Wanna have some fun?
Gentlemen. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. A soul needs to be chopped. An axe needs to be sharpened.
So, you dare to defy me?
Davy Jones!
Is that all you have to say?
Big one! Take us behind those rocks.
Get here!
Keep going! You're good!
See me!
You're
No one get hurt if you don't play no game. Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
And stop! Don't worry, Captain. We'll buff out those scratches.
Believe in your
My life is not for your taking. Die!
Battle 1. Fight!
Good guys!
Oh, shit!
Two warriors battle. One has a controller and is superior. The other has a fight stick.
Ocean Daddy. Algo's replacement. Edgelord.
Don't fuck with me! I have the power of God and anime on my side! Wait,
Namu!
Mitsu can go again, 'cause I wish that he would die. He makes me kill myself every time I go up against him.
Ubisoft Assassin.
Mitsu.
Panzer. Hanzo.
以上をもちまして大乱闘スマッシュブラザーズスペシャル発売前の最終ダイレクトを終了したいと思いますが、最後に
Now you know Astaroth. This is Astaroth normal. Astaroth smiling. Astaroth normal. Astaroth smiling. Look at this big lovable teddy bear. Gucci Gucci Goo is a cute golem with an axe. Astaroth is a huge, buff, big arm. Thick-legged, and that is thick with 2 C's, boy. Daddy with a protruding, literally his heart is actually protruding out of his chest. Heart of gold. He covers his mouth with a bandana because he's a cholo and doesn't like to break the ladies' hearts. He actually breaks their backs. All women fear him and men want to get away from him. He probably doesn't ever bathe or partake in hygiene since his skin is gray and dirty, never skips leg day and enjoys long walks with his axe on the beach. So you want to be an evil champion like all the other cool kids, but with the slowest character ever. First, let's talk about SoulCalibur 6. SoulCalibur 6 is a fun game. It's refreshing. Brings back some new and old mechanics. Guard impact is no longer metered, which is great, but a lot more moves are now metered through Soul Charge or Soul Charge like state. This game also has a lot of virgins playing it. However, take pride, fellow Soul Musketeer, as the real Musketeers are those stinking Super Smash sibling fighter player brother people. Those guys stink. Pew! They put the musk in Musketeer. This is SoulCalibur 6. This is a fighting game for men and women.
It'd be the line to get into the salty spittoon, the roughest, toughest sailor club ever to be built under the 7 seas. Only the baddest of the bad can get in. You need to have muscles. You need to have muscles on your muscles. You need to have muscles on your eyeballs.
Ew.
Which means that all you have to do is strap on your strap on, because you will fuck over other people.
Yo, what the fuck did he just say?
Strap on your strap on. Wait, did I read that correctly? Strap on. Oh, fuck.
This fight's mine!
Alpha Astaroth.
Tap the same button over and over and pray to God that it works. This guide covers Astaroth, one of the slowest and dumbest characters in the game. Astaroth is arguably the strongest character in the game in terms of pure brute strength. He has what we in the scientific community call the retard strength.
It's pronounced returd.
Just take a look at this tier list I made of characters. Tier lists are controversial in their own right, so before everyone gets their pitchforks and torches, hear me out. I've thought long and hard.
That's what she said.
Michael, please.
Thank you, Michael. This is the definitive list of SoulCalibur 6 characters. And by the way, I do have a tier 0. Tier list is based on the shower and grooming habits of characters during the 15th and 16th century, by the way.
Mom, I'm gonna take a shower.
Tier 0. Sasalamel. Reincarnates, so technically his soul showers every time he switches bodies. That's a loophole if I ever heard one. Yoshimitsu. Cannot be placed on this list due to his automation. Robot ninjas do not shower. Fuck Yoshimitsu. Cervantes. Living corpse. Needs no showers. Cannot shower, but is also a pirate, so he can jump to the ocean if he so pleases. Best of both worlds, if you ask me. Inferno. He's not on this list. As well. He is saving humanity. That's all you need to know. 2B. I mean, you can grease her up with WD-40, make sure she's operational, but she's a robot and does not need to partake in human activities. SS tier alpha class. Ivy owns her own mansion and can afford a shower whenever she wants. Also is immortal, and showering should not even be a measuring unit. Geralt owns his own property and can shower leisurely in whatever tub he wants with whatever animal he wants. Grow, part of the Illuminati, so probably has to shower frequently to keep his enemies on his toe. Also, look at that slick ass suit. SS tier. Zhanghua has royal and respected family, also lives at home. She would probably disgrace her family if she did not shower, so showering is no issue. Shuangmina, the daughter of a famous dojo master. She's practically royalty, probably showers frequently. Also, if she did not shower, that underboob would be dirty as fuck. S tier. Talim, raised on an island surrounded by a body of water. Water is not an issue. Maxi, a pirate. He probably is dirty most of the time, but he needs a bath. If he needs a bath, he will just jump into the ocean. Super respectable and cares a lot about his pretty boy appearance. Just look at that hair. He has the ability to shower at any time. Also, if there is a storm, I mean, that's a free shower right there. S- tier. Keelik, raised in a monastery by monks. Probably showers in a bath or a hot spring. Siegfried, used to be Nightmare, has nightmares about his regrets and his past, probably regrets ever getting dirty, so he showers every day to cleanse himself of his nightmares. Sophitia, she was born in Greece, where they have baths. She for sure showers. The Greek believe in water pipes. Just watch out for that lead. Also, she is blessed by a Greek god and cleanliness is next to godliness. B tier. Taki hails from a clan in Japan, so based off my extensive anime knowledge, I'm going to assume she just showers at waterfalls. Mitsurugi also hails from Japan. He does not like technology, hates guns, so I'm going to assume he also hates pipes used for passing water. He probably also showers at waterfalls. Raphael, on the run, but came from noble lineage, seizes the opportunity to shower when possible, more than likely solely based on his hair. C tier. Nightmare. Let's be real here. He ain't taking that armor off. His arm looks like it's conjoined to his actual armor. That's one bad scab. He bathes in the blood of his enemies. Still technically a shower, probably smells like rotten flesh though. Voldel literally lives in an underground cave called the Money Pit. That's all I'm gonna say. This motherfucker is mole people. Tira. She has some raggedy ass clothes that's all kinds of ripped in all the wrong areas. Ratchet AF. She probably smells like dried up blood. This woman hasn't showered since she went cray cray. And then we have fucking negative Z tier.
Oh, and you, my friend, would be the belle of the ball.
Astaroth. This motherfucker is labeled as a golem. The only time rock shower is during rain. The shrine where he was created is underground. He walks around with a pelt of dried up hay and will probably never shower as he only craves power. His skin is literally covered in earth. This is a dirty motherfucker. He can barely speak, let alone know the cleansing properties of water, nor the ability to comprehend more than 5 words in a single sentence. Also, look at what is on his feet. What the fuck are those? Those are not shoes. Those are not slippers. Those are an extreme version of the iron boots that Link wears in the water temple. Yeah! It's why you always get ringed out when you play Astaroth. Those foot gauntlets cannot just be put on and tied. They have to be bolted on and soldered on. You cannot take that shit off. Now, memorize the tier list. Let's move on. SoulCalibur 6 came out to rave reviews. It is in the talks to become the best fighting game released in 2018. Look at this review from IGN. Look at it, god damn it. For a fighting game to get this much praise is so goddamn beautiful. So beautiful. Stop crying.
I'm not crying.
We got 3 new characters.
As well. Roll.
Updated graphics. Reversal edge system. Reversal Edge is a good system, and all of you say that it is not are fake news. We got awesome ultimates now.
Stop making that noise!
We have 2B now. We are unstoppable. Content creators around fighting games rejoiced. Just look at this max, man.
Before we leave the stage, I have one question
for
our fans out there.
I'm listening.
Do your souls still burn?
I've been waiting for this shit for like 4 fucking years.
Look at this French lady.
Thank you for coming to the Bandai Namco studio.
Thank you. I'm very happy I could meet so many great people working on SoulCalibur 6.
And I think it's a good opportunity, and I wanted to give you some presents. Do you want to fight with a battle team?
Oh, so you mean Shining the Coupon Evo Champion 2012?
So, I want to...
What the fuck is that? What anime am I watching? What anime is this?
to fight with these 3. First is Dekopon, as you know. He's the Evo Champion
2012.
Look at this subreddit. Look at my subreddit.
Go to my subreddit. Just go. Go now.
As well has saved humanity, and by extension, SoulCalibur. However, there are a lot of people that suck at the game. Now, I am taking you on this adventure with me because you suck and need somebody to hold your hand. But that's okay, you little rock person. Never forget that you are now a golem. So, take a shower, grab your controller, also grab a pen and pencil and write all this dope knowledge down. Also do all of this at the same time. Also, try to grow a 3rd arm so you can properly press all the buttons. Now, I won't kid you. You ain't gonna be a Sonic Wolf. You probably won't even be his children.
All of the homo.
Or his children's children. Or his children's children's child, 3rd's cousin.
Sonic has been playing as well.
You also ain't gonna be no party dog. He just beat Sonic Fox at DreamHack. Party of 1, please. But that's why you're here. That's why I'm here. Literally talking to you. Rocks. By the way, that's a rock. But I believe in aspiring to be more than a rock. Always remember, to be good at something, you have to be sort of shitty. And to be sort of shitty at something, you have to be abysmal while starting something. We are playing Astaroth, one of the slowest characters in the game, with only like 3 or 4 14-frame moves. I get it, man. You want to show the world not to underestimate you. And I'm with you, my dude. I'm right there with you. Let's step into the stage of misery and learn how to play the biggest and goodest, most bug-riddled boy himself. Now hold on to your horses. First, let's go over some important and valuable data. Notation in SoulCalibur. SoulCalibur people can't remember the names of moves to save their lives, so they dictate which moves are used based on a number pad and appropriate input. Listen to these fine gentlemen talk as they keep referencing this kind of notation.
To be.
I look beautiful with the 22K, not good enough.
Hold on, Party Wolf. Yeah, wait a minute, my man. You're going to come with a flair for the dramatic in round 1? You're going to give up a 90%?
The numbers are representative of the different directions that can be inputted. Also, most people reference the number pad with 1 being on the lower left side and 9 being on the upper right. Using the number pad, you can communicate using a shorthand method that most SoulCalibur players have been using in underground caves for years. I recommend getting a hang of it because it's how most players and even commentators will talk about combos and setups. The next important part of notation would be the horizontal, vertical, kick, and guard inputs. These still have an old school kind of notation to them. It's weird, but I don't know, man. A is for horizontal. I have no idea why. B is for vertical. I mean, that B and V are closer than A and H, so whatever. K is for kick. That makes sense. G is for guard. That makes sense. That is basic notation. And I won't get into the nitty gritty of how other kinds of inputs are represented, but try to memorize this for starters. If you aren't paying attention, wake up. I will reference most moves by their notation as well as their actual name, like a regular non-SoulCalibur sane person. Jesus Christ, why can't SoulCalibur players be fucking normal? Lastly, everyone has their own style of playing, and this guide is heavily influenced by mine, so you're gonna lose a lot. But just a heads up, I'm not a pro, so I may not know all the technical terms like tet traps, or frame data, or FGC terminology. Now close your eyes. Close your eyes and stop peeking. Look to the right and open your eyes. Ask them to get married with you, because to get married, you need to get a ring out.
Up you go!
Anybody else see that shit?
What's wrong? Give up already!
Astaroth is a big boy. His playstyle is unique as he isn't entirely a pure grappler, but he does dip his toe into some of that playstyle. He isn't necessarily a chase character where you're just chasing your opponent follow after follow, but he does do some of that. He also has a surprising amount of close range attacks. Astaroth can best be described, in my opinion, as a bully character. A character that plays defensively until an opening is in sight. And once that opening is taken, then you can proceed to stun somebody, wail on them, or toss them around. Basically, set the pace. SoulCalibur 6 does have a menu where you can go to see how the game wants you to play Astaroth, as well as what some of your go-to moves are. And go check it out, get your education.
Look at all these books.
With Astaroth being one of the slowest characters in the game, you're going to have an uphill battle. Astaroth is seen by a huge player base as a slow and rogue character. That means that you have the surprise factor on your side.
Surprise, motherfucker!
To properly capitalize on that surprise factor, you must first play defensively. A couple of his moves also give you space between yourself and your opponent, such as some of his reversal edge options and some of his throws. So you're going to find yourself engaging, defending, then re-engaging. So get your head closer to the screen. Closer, closer, closer. Let's get super serial for a minute.
That didn't sound serial at all.
You will need to learn how to perform lethal hits. Guard, guard impact, reversal edge, dodge,
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
and revenge moves. First, let's talk about reversal edge. At its core, reversal edge is a quick parry attack. Reversal edge is the quickest way to gain soul gauge for soul charge. Astaroth's moves become substantially quicker during soul charge state. Also, that purple stuff is basically you going Super Saiyan. It changes color with other characteristics as well. During soul charge, you will have an uptick in damage output and will also have access to faster moves and some new branches to follow up attacks and throws. Reversal edge is the quickest way to gain soul gauge. Either player can initiate reversal edge. If you do not initiate it and your opponent does, then you can avoid it. If you see the red, then move, son. Only do the move when you can pull it off.
Hey, soul charge equals soul gauge. It's not hard, just get it.
Reversal edge can block regular combo strings, just like a regular guard. People hate spammers. However, I will say that blocking with reversal edge is important to Astaroth's toolkit. Blocking multiple attacks or a flurry of attacks will also help you build your soul gauge faster. Astaroth is a momentum character, so make sure you're using that reversal edge. I will touch upon reversal edge later in the video, but don't forget about that. Always try to capitalize on reversal edge. Reversal edge isn't without its flaws. It has three main weaknesses. The main weakness is that reversal edge is sidesteppable because all reversal edge moves are vertical. The second weakness is that break attacks, which might turn into lethal hit animations. The last weakness are the unblockable attacks. You know, those fire moves. I will talk about reversal edge again towards the end of the video, so hold on to your britches. Lethal hits can be considered another form of defense. Lethal hits are huge momentum changers. They more or less reward you for clearing certain conditions during fights. Every character has a lethal hit for winning the second round of reversal edge using a horizontal, a vertical, or a kick. A plus B is a guard break attack that the whole roster has that will usually trigger a lethal hit by countering a guard impact or a reversal edge initiation. Outside of the above mentioned lethal hits, every character has different requirements for lethal hits. Lethal hits can best be described as a combination of perks for correctly countering your opponent, as well as using moves that benefit your playstyle at the same time. You may not pull these off very often, even with Astaroth, because his options are somewhat limited. However, even if you don't use Astaroth, plan on learning them for your character so you can capitalize on situations. I will cover lethal hits more in depth later in this video. Guard impact is a full body guard impact now, so regular guard impact can stop throws, low attacks, high attacks, mid attacks, and even attacks from behind. Sometimes you may get stuck in a guard impact duel of fates, but don't get scared. A plus B can be a lethal hit that will break a guard impact. Usually after I perform guard impact, I will do a slow move to anticipate the opponent's guard impact, or I will wait a quarter of a second and go for an unblockable grab, or do A plus B. Guard impact can stop most moves in the whole game, from critical edges to combos to throws. Just keep in mind that if you try to guard impact those blue lightning moves, then you will get punished. Also, do not try to counter fire moves, just don't. If you see a fire move, move out of the way or use your fastest attack.
Learn to guard. Just learn to guard. Just learn to guard, man.
Guarding is simple. You just hold the guard button down. Just make sure you are guarding the appropriate move. A regular guard can block a mid or a high move. A low guard can block a low move. On a special note, Astaroth can cancel some of his animations by guarding. It is a common practice in SoulCalibur. My feeble brain isn't too sure how to turn this into a positive. His initial A, B, and K can be cancelled by pressing guard within the starting animation of his initial input. I don't know if it's bait at higher levels of play or if it's just for mind games. The only other moves I know that Astaroth can cancel is Demented Moon, 236K plus B. This might be Astaroth's slowest move. You should be able to cancel this if you accidentally do this. And Canyon Creation, 4B. Now this move I can see you use for canceling because this move can also be delayed. So you essentially have almost 3 different speeds that your opponent has to be prepared for when using Canyon Creation. If your opponent does a vertical attack, you can totally just sidestep it. If your opponent does a high or mid horizontal move, you can just duck it. If your opponent does a close range move, just back away. Movement is extremely important in the SoulCalibur franchise. Super simple. Fun note, all reversal edge attacks are vertical attacks. I will say this again, they are all vertical attacks. I'll remind you of this until you die or until this video is over, whichever comes first. Astaroth's last line of defense are his revenge attacks.
Hey, father, check out my first match.
Take this!
Silence!
In my opinion, revenge attacks are crucial to getting openings as Astaroth due to his slow frame data. Later in the video, I will go over his additional more complicated revenge attacks during Soul Charge. The special properties associated with revenge attacks are that you have temporary armor that is good for 1 strike. In simple terms, as long as you do not get hit by more than 1 attack or an unblockable attack, then your attack will go through and it will be considered a counter. These revenge attacks can even go through some of the other characters' critical edge attacks. In his normal form, Astaroth has access to 3 basic revenge attacks. Remember them: Vicious Madness and Cursed Earth. Vicious Madness is 336699. either one of those inputs, and then you hold grab, A plus G. This grab can be modified to grab an opponent who is ducking in the last minute by putting down after the grab. Or 2, Cursed Earth, 1-1, 4-4, or 7-7, and then you grab. This move can also be modified to grab a crouching opponent. Both Cursed Earth and Vicious Madness are grabs that also move Astaroth forward, so they can potentially make contact even if your opponent is further away than normal throw range. Body Splash, 6 BK. This move looks so fucking stupid. If you hold it, it turns into a revenge attack. Astaroth will lunge forward and almost body slam somebody. This can also become a lethal hit if you time it correctly. Don't forget that you have revenge attacks. Check out this cool montage to see how cool they are. Astaroth can make up some of his slow moves with a combination of his fastest attacks and some of his revenge attacks, giving the player the appropriate window to fuck shit up. Yo, watch this. Just watch this. Just watch.
Oh, now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. You have fucked up now. Now you fucked up. 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 Now you have fucked up.
With Astaroth being a slow character, you will need to rely on these 5 techniques to keep up with fast characters. It sucks, but if you live by the Astaroth, you die by the Astaroth. That's it for defense. I will say that playing Astaroth has increased my defense game with all characters across the board. One of my favorite things in SoulCalibur is the myriad of ways that moves can be countered. If you think about it, you can counter anybody by ducking, sidestepping, backing away, guarding, guard impacts, reversal ledges, break attacks, low attacks, mid attacks, high attacks, unblockable attacks, lethal hits, throws, critical edges, special properties specific to some characters. One of my favorite reasons why I love SoulCalibur is because of the insane amount of ways that stuff can be countered. You are making observations that out of all the possibilities and statistically trying to compute what your opponent will do and how to counter that while both of you are using all of the above actions. When it comes together in a match, it's honestly just beautiful and fun to watch. That's why I love this game. You have so many options, you just have to learn what to do and when to do it. Astaroth is a very sluggish character. His biggest problem is dealing with characters who have fast...
MAGGOT!
Astaroth is a very sluggish character. His biggest problem is dealing with characters who have faster moves than he does. There is a way to combat this. There are 2 schools of thought when it comes to being defensive, so you can become offensive. The first method is great at tournaments or local fights because connection is more direct versus online infrastructure. A great way to stop your opponent in their tracks when they are wailing on you with a fast character like Taki, Aswell, or Girl would be to grab your opponent's controller and chuck it at a wall. If you can't do that, then there are some quick offensive in-game options that do not involve rage quitting.
Mira.
Throw the controller, you weak ass person. So what do you do if you're getting pressured and can't create space between you and your enemy? The first thing you can do is Soul Charge because it pushes your opponent away and has one of the fastest animations. It will stop critical edges, combos, unblockable attacks, etc. If you do not have meter, then play defensively and follow up with these moves. Astaroth's fastest moves are 14 frames. I don't know what that means exactly, but it's enough for you to mount a comeback. From what my small brain can understand is that there are 60 frames in a second. Different moves have different frame data. I'm not going to go over all the frame data because ain't nobody got time for that. However, just understanding simple frame data can allow you to collectively understand how fast characters are and which moves come out quicker. A move with 15 frames will win a clash against a move with 60 frames all the time. Back to being pressured. If you don't have the balls to grab your opponent's controller, then there are a handful of moves that Astaroth can attack with that are under 18 frames. Break your opponent's controller, you weakling. First, let's cover 14 frames. Astaroth's fastest moves. Decimation. 4A or 4AA, basically back and horizontal. By inputting another horizontal after the initial swing, you get a follow-up attack that can potentially break guard if you hold the second input. It's a horizontal move, so if your opponent is dodging or in a position where they are ducking, this will whiff. If the second attack hits, it will reposition your opponent and will allow you to do a crouch grab if you want to. Also, side note, I will stop this video when you can crouch grab. It is free damage, just crouch grab. Grip shot to axe volcano. For a B or back horizontal, then B a vertical. It starts similar to the last move, however, instead of inputting a second horizontal, you can put a vertical. On clean impact, this will launch your opponent upwards so you can follow up with an air grab. Moloch's Vice. K, just simple K. You kick, it's a high kick. You can delay this move for an attack throw for increased damage and a potential lethal hit, but don't delay it. You're just wasting your time doing that. Slide Divide. With your back towards enemy, press B and K. You probably won't use this often, but hey, it's there. Actually, after playing Asta for like 25 hours, this move has saved my life multiple times. If your back is to the enemy, make sure you use this. I don't recommend doing this move more than 2 times, as it will start pushing away your opponent where they may be harder to reach. Bludgeoning Crush, down and grab, or 2AG. This will only work on a crouching opponent. And then there's Drop of Lava. 1 diagonally back down and HG. This will only work on a crouching opponent. Both crouching grabs are important because for some of your other attacks, even if your opponent blocks them, it will put them in a position where they are in a crouching position where you can follow up with a grab. And I'm gonna confess, I sometimes am too aggressive and forget to do this, but try to remember that this is in your toolbox. Do not forget the crouch grabs. Also, crouch grabs are great against characters that change their position like Voldo and Siegfried, or characters that duck and rush forward like Sophidia. Those are the fastest moves that Astaroth can do. Now these are the second fastest. The sweet 16 frames. Bear Fang. It is 4B or back and vertical. For mix-up, this move can be delayed for extra damage, an additional attack, strength, and to confuse your opponent. During Soul Charge, you can follow this move up even quicker. Moloch's Revenge. 3K or diagonally down forward K. This move isn't the best to follow up on, but it's a quick attack that can stop pressure. Bull's Low Kick. 2K or down K. It's a great move to punish down opponents, or if you need that one last hit when your opponent is down to 1 pixel health and the butthole is getting very tight. And then there's the Axe Crash. 3-3, 6-6, or 9-9, and then B. You can hold forward, diagonal forward, or even down, then vertical. This is also a high vertical attack, so it can be ducked, which is kind of bullshit. This is a potential lethal hit, though. So, unfortunately, that is it for fast moves. Fast and Astaroth should not be used in the same sentence together, unless that sentence is all Astaroth players rage quit fast, or look at how fast I can beat this Astaroth player. So just to recap real fast, don't forget to guard, reversal edge, guard impact, revenge moves, and your fastest moves. Also keep in mind those lethal hits. Now let's work on your bread and butter, your macaroni and cheese, the Batman and Robin, peanut butter and jelly, chicken and barbecue, Bamco and waifus, husbando and dorks, nerds and virginity, Astaroth, and ringouts. These are all things that go together. Playing any fighting game character means that you have to know what you're going to go for. You see that good looking person? How you going to ask him out? You see that Aswell? How you going to ring him out? You see a tournament? How you going to get to the top? Stop being weak. Steal their controllers. This is the bread and butter approved list of warm buttery moves that are a must use.
I'm going to melt a half a stick of butter.
This section of the video segments into 3 parts. Moves, throws, reversal edge. Prepare your body. Also, these are in no particular order. Every fight will require a different approach unless that person cannot learn, in which case, use their stupidity to their advantage and do the same move over and 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 over. You get the point. Now let's take a look at our necessary moves. Also, small side note, some of these attacks can be delayed for either added properties like guard break or just to fuck around with your opponent. Think about that for a second. The slowest character in the game can make his slow ass moves even slower. And sometimes this shit fucking works. I pointed out, but it is a weird part of Astaroth's kit. Also, I may not list all of Astaroth's moves, however, I do highly recommend that you learn, or at least get familiar with all of them. Ooh, I sneezed. Bless you. Vicious Madness. 3-3, A plus B. This is a running grab, so a grab that can reach further due to your momentum. It also has revenge properties, so it's a must-do when battling a dork who keeps trying to strike every time you get closer. Occasionally, this move will allow you to go through an ultimate or a move that doesn't have a guard break property. If you read your opponent, it can potentially raise their meter. If you press downward right before you grab, it can transition this into a low grab for those trying to duck your grabs. If you do the low grab, it's called the underworld pool. But we will cover grabs later. Just understand that Astaroth has a lot of grabs and modifiers that can be applied to those grabs. Annihilation. AA, a standard 2-hit swipe. As long as they don't duck your Gucci, the second hit will turn to an attack or throw. And if you end up countering your opponent, that can position you into a potential lethal grab. AB, Destruction, Annihilation's little brother. A horizontal swipe followed by a forward vertical. This move can be delayed on the front push for mind games. It's decent for mix-up or letting your opponent think you have more abilities than you actually do. OMG, Double Discus. God damn, is this my shit. 1A, you have to hold it unfortunately, followed by a second A. So it's a low horizontal. This is my third favorite move. It's great trap for people trying to roll out the way. It is a wonderful way to follow up an air throw where your opponent tries to air control out of the way. This move becomes faster during soul charge, and the first hit gets revenge properties. Bread and butter. I will say that if your opponent starts reading this, then maybe actually stop doing it and only do it during soul charge. I have lost many matches trying to do this when I shouldn't have. Always remember that you do not need to hold it to get out of it. That being said, it is best to use this during soul charge. This move overall though is extremely beneficial. If you are playing against a character that loves moving to the side, then this will allow you to create more space. While we're on double discus, let's jump into discus breaker. This move is the same except for the second input is a B. So 1AB, you still have to hold the horizontal. If your opponent guards low, expecting the second hit, then this is a good mix-up. Still predictable, but a surprising amount of opponents do not see this follow-up coming. It can also have a guard break properties. Grip shot to Volcano, 4AB. So back, horizontal, vertical. As we discussed earlier, were you paying attention? This is a fast launcher, which means that on the way down, you can grab your opponent mid-air or even follow it up with a double discus or a discus breaker. It's your choice. Variety is the spice of life. This is my go-to ability when my opponent is applying extreme pressure. Since it is 14 frames, if you time it correctly, you can combo it into an air grab that can swing things in your favor. Poseidon tie, 2-1-4-A or quarterback horizontal. This is a great move because it has 3 uses. The first one is an attack throw that if it lands will toss your opponent into space. The second use is that if you keep mashing A like your life depends on it, then Astaroth will turn into a Beyblade that can move in any direction. The third use, which is difficult for me to pull off or get footage of, would be to use it on an opponent that's falling from the sky, on which they land on your axe as it is in rotation, so you can toss them back up again. Style points for whoever can actually pull that off. A tacky but useful way to use this move is actually to use it to approach an opponent who will dominate your approach. It is tacky, so I recommend only doing it if you can follow it up correctly with ready defenses. Reverse spiral axe. While rising, press A. Literally the definition of surprise motherfucker.
Surprise, motherfucker.
A very slow move, but a momentum shifter. If you have a barrage of horizontal swipes coming your way, this is a perfect recovery move. Bear Fang, 4B or backwards and vertical. It is a sweet 16 frame that can be delayed for a follow-up attack. It is great for mix-up, headbutt your opponent into oblivion. This is also a decent move to go into on a downed maggot in front of you who may be trying to get away from you by doing a rising attack. While this isn't my favorite move because of its extreme short range, it is extremely versatile in what you can do. It can be a quick attack, it can be delayed, it can also hit down opponents. During your soul charge, you do not need to hold the first input to get the follow-up attack, but you can delay the second input to make it an unblockable. So this can be somewhat unpredictable to uneducated maggots. Great Divide, 2 verticals, so BB. A simple 2-hit vertical that can be delayed for a stronger attack. During soul charge, if the second hit is delayed, it becomes a blockable. Yikes! Decent damage output. If the second input is delayed, then it will gain guard break properties as well as potentially launch people in the air. That's during your normal state. This is a mid-range attack, so it can create a range of pressure from close to mid-range. Command kicks. So this is a quick input, so immediately follow up your vertical input with a kick, followed by a second kick. This move is important because even if your opponent guards it, it allows you to do one of your crouch and grabs, so you don't have to wait on your opponent to teabag you. Force them into the teabag. Seize the day. Whether this move lands or is blocked, you are still at an advantage. Swipe. 6B. You gotta hold the B. This move is important because it's a mid and a mix-up that can deal heavy damage to your Maggot's guard. If the first vertical hits, then you are guaranteed to get the second B. You can always land the first attack and also follow it up with a crouch grab if you want. It gives you space between you and your opponent even if you don't do the follow-up. It leaves your opponent stunned with a small window for you to fuck shit up. During Soul Charge, you no longer need to hold it to receive the second attack. The second attack can track a bit, just a bit, if your opponent is trying to move left or right. Axe Volcano, 3B. This move is too good. It's great for mix-up, can be delayed for a stronger move, an unblockable move, and launches, which lets you go into an air grab or a discus juggle. Axe Grave, 1B. At first, I didn't like this move at all. I thought it was lame and too slow. But as I became a better player, I've come to realize that 1, it can safely hit a downed opponent. 2, it tracks. 3, it can be delayed. 4, you might actually be able to get away with doing this over and over and over to the same person. And 5, if your opponent blocks it, then it positions them in a position for you to do a crouch grab. Hades Rising. Vertical while rising. This can lead to a lethal hit if you counter your opponent who is trying to reversal edge or guard impact. It's not the best move, but if it hits and it's a lethal hit, it's a decent combo starter. It can be delayed to confuse your opponent. It must be delayed for a lethal hit. Moloch's Vice. Just a kick. That's it. One of your fastest moves ever is just a simple kick. It's awesome because you can probably land 2 of these in a row.
I think that's about it.
However, if you delay it on purpose, then you go into an attack throw. A potential lethal hit. And also a stomp to your Maggot's face. You won't kick them in their chin, they will chin you in your kick.
I refuse to play.
Actually, that's it.
No! No and then! No and then! No and then! No and then! No and then!
Also, Astaroth flexible AF. Who knew, you sexy golem you?
Stop piss me off, lady.
Also, I'm just hyping this move up for no reason.
And I'm gonna put my foot in your ass if you say and then again!
Don't delay it because it's literally the worst lethal hit move in your kit. Hades Knee, 6K. It's a forward knee. It can be a good surprise or a small follow-up on rush. It stuns your opponent so you can follow it up with a second knee or a crouch grab. Rising Torment. While rising, press K and then immediately follow up with A. It's a kick and horizontal. This is part of what I professionally call the motherfucker trio.
Surprise, motherfucker.
The trio all do the same basic thing, which is a kick and then a roundhouse axe swing that most people don't see coming. The horizontal swing comes across as a big surprise. For this move, you can delay the horizontal axe swing to hit a crouching opponent. It also launches your opponent across the screen during the Rising Torment. Astaroth does a high kick and the horizontal swing comes from around his back. Reverse Tamer, 1K A, the opposite of Rising Torment and the bastard child of the motherfucker trio, because this move cannot be delayed during the axe swing. The low kick is great for maggots you have been conditioning to not block low, and then the axe crashes right into them. Dark Tamer, 4K A, the favorite of the motherfucker trio, a mid kick that can be delayed with a swing that can be delayed as well. So unlike reverse Tamer moves, you can delay this move during both inputs. If you delay it during the horizontal input, then you can hit crouching opponents. I recommend doing any of the motherfucker trio and then following up with a second one, or just mixing up the 3 as the match ensues. Stamp of Hades, 8-8 or 2-2 and K. So up or down and then kick. A simple ground stop, but if held, it can create a small mid-range shockwave that is the closest thing that Astaroth has to a projectile. This is key for setting up some moves that have long startup time. I don't recommend overlooking this move. If your opponent only gets hit by the shockwave, I believe they do not take any damage, but nonetheless, the shockwave can stun your opponent long enough for you to safely perform a critical edge. At worst, it is another option against a downed opponent. Most people I find online aren't actually too sure on how to respond to the shockwave. Eternal Damnation, A plus B. It can break guard, it can be a lethal hit. If it becomes a lethal hit, it will launch an opponent up so you can grab them in the air. It is also a good follow-up for an opponent who is on the floor. It is also a good move when you are angry and for absolutely no reason you can assert your dominance from far away. This is my go-to move immediately after a guard impact or a reverse impact. Minotaur Crush, 6 A plus B. This looks like a grab, but is actually just a medium hit. It can be a lethal hit if you wrung out your opponent in the match before. It's a bit of an odd move, honestly. My second favorite move, Titan Axe, 2 or 8 and then A plus B. So up or down and then A plus B. This move tells me what kind of a maggot I am going up against. In smaller arenas, you can start the round with this move. It will hit almost all the time if you are playing against someone who doesn't know what Astaroth can do. This will give them a shocking surprise. If the hit lands, then it will knock them sideways. It can also do a ring out. This ability allows you to create space and keep short range characters away. Some people will tell you that this move is useless. Those people are losers and Voldomains who are jealous that they have no axe. Do not scruff this move off because of its inability to create a combo afterwards. This is the longest move, if not one of the longest moves in your arsenal. It's awesome. Breath of Hades, 4A plus B. It's like faking a miniature crush. If you hold it, it will turn into an unblockable fire grab. Bear hug for days. Guard Crusher, B plus K. You grab your opponent's head and give them a quick tour of the other side of the arena. You can reposition yourself as well as shift momentum. Body Splash, 6, B plus K and hold. All for revenge. Revenge moves are extremely important part of Astaroth's toolkit. As stated earlier, these allow you to circumvent Astaroth's slow startups for a majority of his moves, a momentum shifter, as well as a great Lady Gaga jump. Also, a potential lethal hit. Axe Lower Cannon, 4B plus K. Not the fastest move, nor the safest, but if you pull this move off, preferably on a stun target, then follow it up with another B, and then do an air launch, then you will have the opportunity to grab them in the air. So much damage. The launch will only occur if you initiate at close range. Flying Divide, 9B plus K. Astaroth has been going to leg day because holy shit is this a massive air jump with a vertical axe swipe. If the input is held and it can become a guard break attack, this is one of my go-to moves when going up against long range characters like Helik and Swangmina. Tornado Spike, 3-3, 6-6 or 9-9, A and then B. So a little bit of it's hard to read, but when you see it on screen, it won't be that difficult. This is my favorite move to do as Astaroth. The second input, the vertical, can be delayed for a guard break as well as mix-ups. The horizontal range is extremely wide, but the vertical slash can hit a person laying on the ground. This move becomes even better during Soul Charge. God, this move can lead to victories just by spamming it. Since the initial hit is a horizontal swipe, it can help out against any character that can teleport, as well as characters trying to sidestep too much. Hades Cannon, 2-2 or 8-8 and then B, so up or down and then vertical. Bread and butter like no other. This move is a launcher as well as a great follow-up to an opponent on the floor or rolling in the same direction as you. If you can read your opponent, this attack will single-handedly win you the round. It is a potential lethal hit. This move works on down opponents, rolling opponents, jumping opponents. Poseidon's Crest, 2-2 or 8-8 AA, so horizontal. Similar input to the previous move. At first, I thought this was a useless move. As I have played longer, this is such a great maneuver for using against characters who move side to side a lot. It can be a good safe approach to reposition yourself and close the gap between you and other maggots. Just counter characters moving around you. Overall, great against short range characters. Hades Divide, 1-1 or 4-4 or 7-7 A. This is just a simple wide horizontal strike. If held, it becomes a guard break attack. You can use it to attack from a few different angles. Overall, it's just a solid attack. Good range, guard break. It's very decent. It's very good. I like it a lot. The more I play, the more I enjoy it. Azazel Tackle, 1-1 or 7-7, then B, then K. So vertical and then a kick. Also, badass fucking name, Azazel Tackle. What the fuck? That's a great name. At first, I hated this move, but like a bad cocaine addiction, once I used it a bit more, I was hooked. This move is great, but should be used cautiously as it can also be heavily punished. If the move connects, pressing K will allow an additional hit, and you can close the gap between you and your opponent. The initial hit looks a lot like the next move on the list, so it's easy for your opponent to be confused between both attacks. Canyon Creation. 4-4-B, so back vertical. Simple and effective. It can be delayed and turned into an unblockable. This attack can be cancelled as well. Great for trying to confuse your opponent. Bull Rush and Bone Grinder. 3-3 or 6-6 or 9-9 followed by a K. This move is awesome because it's an unexpected move. It can lead to a follow-up attack. If the initial input connects, the second impact may not hit depending on your opponent's position. Once launched in the air, you can proceed to fuck shit up. Potential lethal hit, great move, unexpected sometimes. Sometimes your opponent may not see it at all. Appeal, K plus G. Why the fuck not, man? Fucking gloat, assert your dominance, show off your pecs.
You will pay! Compare us to the rest that are all sliced and diced. Competition playing or
Get throwed, son. So I don't know how many different throws other characters have, but Astaroth has exactly 69. Oh man, that is a joke. Do you get it? Why am I so lonely? Hey man, if you laugh at my loneliness, I'm gonna be under your bed tonight. He protect, he attack, but most importantly, he can tech throw back. Actually, Astaroth does have a lot of different kinds of throws. I went over a few attack throws, but I do want to go over some actual throw inputs because he does have some insane stuff. Like every character in the game in the series, there is a front throw, a back throw, a left throw, and a right throw. For the sake of simplicity, because every player that plays Astaroth is going to get their IQ points lower just by playing him.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All throws are A plus G unless mentioned otherwise. A plus G is your standard throw. Now, look at this cool throw montage. That was a test. That was how to not do grabs. To show you how to properly do throws, take my hand. That was a test too. You never grab Astaroth's hand because he will throw you. Maggot. Selfie time. So the most awesome grab that Astaroth can do is the one where he grabs your opponent from the back because you literally walk on your opponent. Wait. Let's watch that again. Walk on the haters. The cool thing about Astaroth is that he has a grab for a lot of different situations. So to recap real quick, standard throw in different directions, that is 4 different throws already. Colossus, 6, and then throw. It is a forward grab that lays your opponent on the floor with their feet towards you. Festival of Heaven, back, and then throw. This is a booty forward grab. You literally booty slam your opponent to the floor. The other important aspect of this grab is that it lays down your opponent on the floor with their head towards you, which can lead to the next move if they are too slow to get up. Brutal Grasp, 3 and throw. Allows you to pull back up an opponent who is on the floor who has his head facing you. This is free damage. Always go for this if you see it. Very few characters, if any, can grab down opponents. It also is a 14 frame move. Titan Bomb, 2, 3, 6. So quarter circle forward and grab. This is the Bane grab.
Batman owns the night. Now taste fear. Wait, what? Oh, God! Oh, my back just snapped like a pack of uncooked spaghetti! Oh, you just walk up and break my back without saying a word! Oh, boo! Boo on you, sir!
Astaroth. You are Bane. Destroy all the Batmen and all the Batwomen in the world.
Bane broke my back, but years of training allowed me to heal in record time. Now, let's see what the Joker... Oh my God, no! Oh, like a string of firecrackers, my f***ing back! Oh, felt the soles of my feet touch the back of my head on that one!
Astaroth. The Backbreaker. The Bakuru Baka. This grab also has 3 modifiers. One is a fast input. I don't know exactly what that means because I'm an idiot. If you haven't noticed that by now, well, you, my friend, you're in trouble.
They said Bane had crippled me for life. But that monster isn't going to own me. I'm back. Oh my god, this is not happening! Ah! Where were you guys on that one? You just watched it! This is a waking nightmare!
Astaroth.
What I do know is that if you do the fast input correctly, then you will glow blue. The second modifier is quite the opposite. Astaroth is a very slow character, which is bad. But if you hold the grab and make it even slower, then delay it, it becomes an unbreakable grab. The third modifier is a soul charge follow-up. So during the main knee of the animation, if you press the throw input again, you will throw your opponent for free additional damage because it continues as part of the grab animation. That is the Apocalypse Destroyer.
It's not his piss bed.
That is only slightly better. Rule of 3, asshole, not 4!
Astaroth.
Flight of the Wicked, quarterback circle and grab, or 2-1-4 and A plus G. This is one of my favorite throws because I love doing a discus breaker following it. Also, awesome anytime you grab somebody by the face and throw them. Just like Titan Bomb, the previous move, it has 3 modifiers. It can be held to become unblockable, it can be a fast input, and it is changed during Soul Charge. During Soul Charge, this throw is called Rite of the Wicked. During the grab, if you press 8A or 2A, so up or down and then horizontal, you can do the Wicked Twister, in which you will do a huge horizontal swipe to your mid-air opponent. During Soul Charge, if you press the same input, then you will do the Wicked Twister of Carnage, in which the swipe becomes an unblockable and does more damage. After doing some practice, I did find that you don't necessarily need to press 2 or 8A. You can get away with it just by pressing horizontal as you're just doing the throw. However, I don't know if that will change in future updates. So if you're going up against a character that likes to jump like Yoshimitsu or Sophidia, then Obsidian drop 2, 8, and then throw. So down, up, and then grab will stop their bullshit and bring them back down to your level. While this move may be particularly difficult to land as a read on your opponent, if you ever land it, it will literally scare the shit out of the maggots. So get some toilet paper ready. Now, if you have an opponent that is constantly crouching, or any character like Siegfried or Yoshimitsu who has a position that puts them in a crouching style, these grabs are essentially free damage. Maelstrom Divide, 8, A plus G, so up and grab, is a power bomb, a good old punishing time. You may not use this very often, but keep it in your tech toolbox of techiness. It's also a fun way to just close the distance between you and your opponent, as most people don't really know how to react to it. Bludgeoning Crush, 2, A plus G, so you press down and grab. This crouch grab is a lot more feasible to do. It's also a modified move during Soul Charge. There's a simple combo that goes into this move as a regular A plus G throw. If you do command kicks, which is the fast input vertical and then K, then throw, you automatically go into this throw as your enemy is in the stun state. Speaking of the command kicks, if you do them again followed up with 4 A plus G, so a back throw, then you will do a move called the Bluster, which is another modified grab. 1 A plus G is another crouch and grab. You slam your opponent around for a bit like a ragdoll. The drop of lava is essentially the Bluster we just went over, but without the setup. Wrath of the Damned, 4 A plus G, so 4 back and grab. One of Astaroth's air throw. Just grab your opponent in the air. It's extremely simple. This move works even if your opponent themselves do a move that causes them to be in the air. This is a potential lethal hit. Wrath of the Accursed, the other air throw for Astaroth. While Wrath of the Damned throws your opponent behind you after the animation, Wrath of the Accursed ends with your opponent in front of you. The last grab I want to go over is the first move of our bread and butter, Vicious Madness. So 3-3, 6-6, or 9-9, and then A plus G. It is a revenge move. It changes a bit during Soul Charge. This move has a mirror move called Curse Earth, which is essentially the opposite. So 7-7, 4-4, or 1-1. So backwards. Both of these moves can be modified at the last minute. If your opponent decides to crouch, in which you press down on the directional pad and the grab will change accordingly. If you are good at reading, then you can use this little known fact to surprise. Both Vicious Madness and Cursed Earth are revenge moves. Never forget revenge. Reversal Edge is very awesome in my opinion. It auto blocks a string of attacks and immediately counterattack with a vertical attack. If that attack strikes, then you get into a rock, paper, scissors kind of clash. Bandai Namco provided this graph to easily visualize. Reversal Edge is important to Astaroth. To get full access to his faster moves, he needs to be soul charged. To be soul charged, the soul charge gauge needs to be filled. To fill the soul gauge quickly, you need to Reversal Edge. Astaroth has one of the most absolute unique interactions that is extremely hysterical. At higher levels of gameplay, you may not see Reversal Edge a lot due to its many counters. Reversal Edge can be sidestepped, and if you are attacked by a lethal hit, then it will break your guard. Even if you do not go into Reversal Edge, blocking using the Mechanic Initiator will cause you to gain Soul Gauge. During Reversal Edge, if both players use the same kind of attack, then it will tie and the second round will begin. During the second round, all three of your options will become lethal hits and yield heavy damage. Like all characters, Astaroth has 3 attacks during Reversal Edge. Reversal Edge, or Woebringer as it's actually called, B plus G, can be held to defense against longer combo strings. If you make it to the second round of Reversal Edge and win, then it will be considered a lethal hit. Rending Torment. This is the B option of Reversal Edge, the vertical. It will drag your opponent across the screen. If you are using Reversal Edge and your back is against an edge, then this will be a guaranteed ring out. You'll be very surprised at lower levels how easy it is to perform this ring out. If you tie the first Reversal Edge round but win the second one with this move, then your axe will drag your opponent across the full scale of the arena. If there is an edge, then there is an extremely high probability that they will be wrung out. If there is not an edge and you are by a wall, then they will take wall damage for huge damage. This damage is about as much as your critical edge. Most Astaroth players want this move to go through, which is why most skilled opponents you play against will post-hastily try to avoid it. I always recommend starting out with this Reversal Edge option because it will more or less determine how much your opponent knows about your Reversal Edge game. This is where the mind games start. Try to avoid a vertical attack. They may try to kick you. Axe of Woe. This is the horizontal option. If you need to use a horizontal attack to counter kick, use Axe of Woe, A, horizontal, if you need to use a horizontal attack to counter kick. If your opponent tries to counter your Rending Torment, then you can use this move to launch your opponent forward and give yourself some space. If you are facing an edge and the other player is sandwiched between you and that ledge, then the Axe of Woe will constitute a ring out. Eviscerate, K, the kick option. So if your opponent wants to do a vertical attack, you can jump to the side and gorilla push them in the face. This is my favorite Reversal Edge option. Eviscerate puts rival in a stunned crouching position. You can capitalize on this by doing a bludgeoning crush or a drop of lava. Both of those were the crouch grabs. Playing online, I always start with Rending Torment or Guard to see what my opponent's understanding of the Reversal Edge system is. I recommend trying a Reversal Edge as they can net you a free win, free damage, or even just introduce you to possible new combos. Just like your other moves, Reversal Edge is a tool. You can bait your opponent into it. I recommend conditioning your opponent into Reversal Edge because of the extreme version of Astaroth's Rending Torment. Players are either unaware of it or prepared for it, and you limit your opponent's choices. Just remember that if your back is to an edge, Rending Torment will bring them out. If you're facing an edge, then Axe of Woe will bring them out. It's a great punishing move that will put you on the highway towards Soul Charge. We covered lethal hits earlier, but I want to go more in depth into them, the actual lethal hits and the conditions for creating them. Gerald from Core A Gaming did a great video on conditioning your opponent where he talks about taunts and the grappler archetype. Actually watching this video was a big inspiration for me, so thank you, Core A. I would honestly recommend stopping here, check out that video real fast. It's only like 10 minutes long, and then coming back. If you don't have time for that, then I'll briefly cover it, but I don't want to take away from what he stated in that video. In that video, he goes over how you can condition your opponent into forcing them into situations that you want through different techniques as well as proper counters. He uses Street Fighter V as an example, but those principles still apply. I'll place a link to it down below because the information that his video covers is so prudent to SoulCalibur 6. He goes into detail about operant conditioning and how changing your opponent's expectations can allow you to do serious punishment. Most of Astaroth's lethal hits are counters that will usually allow you to combo off of them. Through some proper conditioning, you can pull these moves off. If your opponent guard impacts, then there is a lethal hit for that. If your opponent is too far away, then there is a lethal hit for that. If your opponent is airborne, then there is a lethal hit for that. At this point, we probably covered all lethal hits already that we haven't talked about yet, are the conditions that are needed for these lethal hits to activate. Arguably, Reversal Edge lethal hits are the easiest to trigger, as well as the ones that give you the most soul gauge. Since we covered them, we won't go over them again, except for Rending Torment, because look at this shit. Moloch's Vice, so K, just the K move, your regular standard kick, except you hold it, arguably Astaroth's worst lethal hit. It has a slow startup, it can be sidestepped, ducked, or blocked. For the lethal hit to trigger, your opponent must have count them, two full gauges of soul charge. I feel like the developers thought this was great because it would punish your opponent for hodling their soul gauge. But man, this is honestly just a shitty move to pull off. Even the game itself tells you to use your soul gauge as fast as possible. Looking at this move makes me sad because it's just bad all around. Any and all characters want to use their gauge to either soul charge or critical edge. Nobody wants to hold on to it. Next one, Eternal Damnation, A+B. This is my go-to lethal hit, just like a meal from McDonald's at 2:37 in the morning. When it lands, it hits the spot. It is another move that lets me know what kind of opponent I am playing. Triggers upon impact counter. If your opponent tries to do a guard impact or a reversal edge, this attack will cut all that bullshit. My favorite use for it would be to guard impact an attack, and then follow it up with this because your opponent tries to reverse impact your guard impact, then it will trigger. If successful, it will launch your opponent so you can do an air grab. Minotaur Crush, 6, A+B. Probably the easiest lethal hit to accomplish. Not the easiest to activate. It is 18 frames, so it's one of Astaroth's faster moves. The activation requirement is that you have had to win the previous round by a ring out. Automatically, this means you can never use this lethal hit during the first round or any round if you have not done successfully a ring out. This is one of those lethal hits that I would describe as a perk for playing Astaroth as SoulCalibur wants you to play him. If you ever land this, you can follow it up with a crouch grab or the floor grab. Body Splash. 6 and then B+K. This is a revenge move. It triggers if your opponent hits you as the revenge property is in effect. If successful, it will stun your opponent and you can do a crouch grab as they are falling down. My biggest issue with this move is that sometimes you may hit your opponent and they are too far away to grab upon lethal hit, so it can be difficult to follow up if you're not right next to your opponent. Hades Rising. Hold B while rising. While rising, if your opponent attempts to guard impact or reversal edge, this will launch them extremely high in the air. It is great to combo into an obsidian drop or anything that will hit in the air. I find this one a little harder to pull off unless you know who you are playing and they're making the right reads. Axe Crash, 996633B. This is already a move you should be doing. The activation for this is to hit an opponent if they are walking backwards. It's a little harder than it sounds. If they are backing up towards an edge of the map, it will cause a ring out. It is a little difficult to combo afterwards. Correctly following up on this move will depend on your opponent and how smart you are. My simple-minded body can only follow it up with Canyon Creation, but hey, free extra damage, right? Hades Cannon, 2288B. Getting this lethal hit, just like all of the previous ones, is dependent on your opponent whiffing a light attack. For it to trigger, they need to get hit almost immediately as they whiff it. More than likely, you will trigger this move more against characters that have a lot of light attacks, such as Taki, Talon, Maxi. The launch after making contact is very vertical, so you can do a drop immediately after. By drop, I do not mean drop acid, I meant an obsidian drop. Do not do drugs, children. Please don't. Apocalypse Cannon. The same as the aforementioned move except during soul charge. Has guard break properties, launches them even higher. Bone Grinder. 336699KK. Essentially the same as the Bull Rush. Triggers upon hitting an opponent at long range. This basically punishes your opponent for not blocking and not moving out of the way. I consider this move pretty risky. If you miss, maybe follow it up with a K so you can get a second Bull Rush and just get some distance between you and your opponent after you get whiffed. Take a look at this image of me missing my opponent and going forward. If you land this lethal hit, when time slows down, if you do not follow it up with a second K input, then you can just straight up air grab your opponent and bring them back to you, or just start attacking them. It has decent combo potential compared to the other lethal hits. I feel like this one slows down time a bit longer than the previous ones. Wrath of the Dam, back and grab. This is an air grab that triggers upon grabbing an opponent who is in the air. Doesn't matter if they jumped or if they are in an attack animation. They would have had to commit for this to trigger. You can't launch them and then grab them. It is basically a counter to characters that do fancy air moves. We here in Astaroth County do take kindly to them air folks with their sword helicopters and mile high clubs. After the grab animation, compared to regular Wrath of the Damned, it launches them in the air again. So you can combo right afterwards with another Wrath of the Damned. That's pretty much it for lethal hits. They aren't the easiest to pull off because of how slow Astaroth is, but when they do punish, they do a fuck ton of damage, while also giving you a small window to pop off. I recommend practicing them, as well as try to condition your opponent into allowing some of these to happen. Also, Namdai Banco, if you're watching this, please change Moloch's Vice. Give us something we will actually use. Por favor, as my people say. Por favor, please. Soul Charge. The last thing to cover for you dorks is the Soul Charge. Just like any other Soul Charge in the game, it is extremely scary to get caught in any combo involving Soul Charge, as a lot of damage will be performed. Everything in this video has been building towards this. Remember the double discus? The double discus takes 56 frames to make impact. On Soul Charge, the same move is called Bringer of Ruin. The frames go down to 36. Not only is it faster, but now it also has revenge properties on the first hit. Soul Charge combines increased damage, revenge properties, and faster move frame rates to turn Astaroth into a massive engine of destruction. First, I want to demonstrate some side-by-side comparisons of regular moves and their Soul Charge counterpart, then we can cover the moves individually. Critical Edge is ABK on console. This is a single button, so Xbox or PS4 is just one button. I don't know what it is on either one, but it's just one button. So this is basically Astaroth's special. It is unique because it's an unblockable throw. Your opponent can dodge it by ducking at the right time, but it does track a little bit if your opponent tries to sidestep, and he does move forward, having a length longer than normal throw. It is a heavy dealing damage attack. The best time to do this move is on a stunned opponent where you can get the guaranteed damage. Just like all critical edges, it does have a cast time. However, once the animation starts, it is extremely difficult to avoid. I don't use this too often, but when I do, it's usually after I do a Stamp of Hades. That shockwave attack that stuns your opponent, it is perfect for that. Soul Charge is initiated by pressing back ABK, so back and whatever button you use for your special. This fully unlocks the rest of Astaroth's moveset, as well as the faster frame data for his powered up moves. Soul Charge has an awesome property, and that is that it will push away your opponent if they are next to you, or even in an animation. Soul Charge is probably the single fastest move in the whole game for all characters. Before we go into Soul Charge moves, I want to say one thing, so let me clear my throat. Your Soul Charge meter does not go past 2. It takes a full gauge to do a Soul Charge or a critical edge. You cannot hodl Soul Charge like Bitcoin. Use your Soul Charge. Do not be an idiot and lose your match with 1 or 2 full gauges that could have been used. Use your Soul Charge. Use your Soul Charge. Motherfucker, use your Soul Charge. Have you used your Soul Charge?
Give it up! You filthy What? I'll destroy you! Up you go! Shut up! Maggot!
Cerberus rigged.
Quarter right and horizontal. So as far as new moves, this is kind of it. This is the only real move that Astaroth unlocks during Soul Charge. It is a way better version of the Beyblade move that we covered earlier. It hits more often, it ends on a better swing, and to top it off, you can actually just spam this.
Bringer of Ruin. Revenge. Discus Breaker. Revenge. Decimation. Revenge. Unstoppable Great Divide. Apocalypse Pound.
Out of my go!
Apocalypse Drop.
Stay down!
Ruin Slam. Revenge. Blood Tide Rush. Revenge.
I'm gonna play with you!
Cyclopean Swipe. Revenge. Ruinous Gorfang. Revenge. Victorious Charge. Revenge. Malicious Torment. Revenge. Apocalypse Cavern. Guard Break. Apocalypse Rush. Revenge. Vicious Fury. Revenge. And unable to grapple break during revenge. Cursed Altar. Revenge. And unable to grapple break during revenge. Apocalypse Destroyer. Bride of the Wicked. Wicked Twister of Carnage.
As well has 7 Soul Charge moves. IV 9 Soul Charge moves. Nightmare has about 14 or 15. Keelik has about 17. There are some moves I didn't list for Astaroth in Soul Charge mode because they are slight modifications. However, if you take into account those slight modifications, Astaroth is one of the characters that has the most amount of Soul Charge moves.
Man, he's strong as fuck during Soul Charge.
I think the only person that may have more moves than him is Zhanghua, maybe. Like, I don't know. I don't even know. Let me know in the comment section who has more Soul Charge moves. Soul Charge is the key to getting some serious W's because how much quicker key moves become. Astaroth's Soul Charge has so many more moves than most of the roster. Use Soul Charge. Do not be an idiot.
Idiot!
So you learned pretty much everything and you're ready to be a pro. The last thing you need to know is what your worst matchups are. Everyone. That guy. That chick. That bitch. That freak. The homeless bookworm. The fantasy final guy. The ninja on Twitch. The strong independent woman. Peg leg Pete. Real legs Pete. That annoying lady. Mr. Nunchucks. The pole dancer. The better pole dancer. The Netflix guy. God. Jesus. Token black man. Death incarnate. Richie Rich. And yourself. In all seriousness, Astaroth is considered the worst character on the roster, so matchups are going to be statistically against characters faster than you. So to provide bad matchups, I'm going to use anecdotal evidence. I personally think the worst characters to play against as Astaroth are as follow, in no particular order. Talum, due to her extremely fast moves and counters. Yoshimitsu, solely for his extremely fast critical edge, and also, fuck you, Yoshimitsu. Fuck you. 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 Ivy, because of her critical edge and long range moves, and Swung Mina because approaching her is extremely difficult due to her range. I know everyone has a different experience and these characters are not necessarily representative of any tier list, but when I look at losses, statistically speaking, these are the characters I lose against the most. Man, fuck Yoshimitsu. Every character has a different kit in this game, so it's entirely possible that your matchups may be different than from mine. Another factor to consider is that the game is still pretty new, so not all characters have been solved yet. That means that as patches roll out, new characters get introduced and balances are made, matchups may change. Lastly, different players play fighters in different ways. Some people are reserved, others are aggressive, some panic, and some are tactical. Your playstyle will determine how you move forward. If you've stayed this long into the video and you are committed to becoming Pro Astaroth, you have to understand that you have an uphill battle. Bitch, you ain't gonna win. So, squirm. In my opinion, Astaroth could benefit from just 1 or 2 more moves that are 10 to 14 frames. God damn it, why they gotta release an update like now, right when I'm about to finish this up? Stop the video, stop. Hey guys, what's up? So right as I am about to finish this video, 4 months in the making, 4 months, Bandai Namco decides to release an update for the newest SoulCalibur game. So holy shit, it's a lot of stuff, man. It's a lot of stuff for all the characters. Specifically for Astaroth, he's getting a whole bunch of new things. I guess the biggest takeaways are that his attacks are going to be more consistent. Especially at closer distance. Some of the attacks that used to miss aren't going to miss as much. Some of the lethal hits are being corrected so that they're slightly more consistent. Let's see. And then, let's see what else. One of his 14 frame moves is becoming a 12 frame move, which is crazy. So that's actually really insane. So that's very good. I believe it was, I can't remember the name of it. That's some grip shot to axe volcano. I remember that's the backwards, horizontal, and then vertical. So anyway, that move is becoming a 12 frame move essentially. So whoa, that's cool. That's fucking cool. 1 AG and 2 AG, so the crouch grabs made the moves 2 frames exactly hitting frames where the move is extended. Okay, so awesome. So that means you're more likely to land it. And then the 2 grabs that are quarter circle forward grab and quarter back circle, 2-1-4 and 2-3-6, the ones that can be held, basically the ones that can be modified during soul charge, those are now officially like unblockable. If you hold it, it's unblockable. And then to top it off, his 3K is now faster by 2 frames, making it a 14 frame move. So good talks all the way around. In the background of this video, I'm gonna try and put like, it looks like his stuff just got released like now. Like look at this. In the Discord, it is popping off. So a lot of shit's going on. And I can't believe it happened right when I finished the video. Anyway, the rest of the video applies. Enjoy it. Peace. It is laughable how slow most of his moves are. I get it. He deals massive damage and you can take out your opponent with a couple of well-timed moves, but he can be easily countered by any fast-moving character. Now those matchups could just be me, but I consider myself a bad fighting game player and an okay SoulCalibur 6 player. Astaroth's lack of fast-hitting moves means you have to rely so much on being defensive up to the point where you might find an opening. Some people may not like that style of gameplay. That being said, Astaroth feels extremely rewarding as his moveset feels extremely unique, and once you get rolling, your opponent might get desperate. Creating mix-up, delays, and unnecessary amount of grabs, soul charge techniques, he can be quite unpredictable. The best offensive advice I can give is find out what kind of player your opponent is and exploit it by tossing them around and applying pressure. You can say that about any character, but to a lot of people, Astaroth is scary and the mind games are real. So what's the TLDR? Too long didn't read? Well, the pros are he has big dick energy. He has short range, mid range, and long range attacks. Heavy damage and throws for every situation. The cons? Lack of fast moves. Full potential is unlocked at soul charge. The reversal edge is a must. Guarding must be on point and so must guard impacts. Lethal hits can range from bad to okay. thank you for watching. I might do more videos like this depending on how well this does. Thank you to the SoulCalibur Reddit for some nice people on there. I also want to thank the 8-Way Run and Astaroth Discord servers. I will post links to those down in the description below. A special thank you to Coldsy on Discord as he provided some of the clean voice lines for Astaroth, Itara and Zigmover for general discussion, Core 8 Gaming for his videos, which I would highly recommend. Also, as well as Florida Man on the Astaroth Discord. Thank you for some of the footage. Lastly, I want to thank myself for making this video. Good job, Ramiro. You did great. Thank you. This wouldn't have been possible without you. I don't know who made the Pepe Astaroth, but thank you, Kappa. Thank you. Also, don't forget to like and comment down below. If you want to see me do more of these videos, just put it down in the comments, man. Because depending on how well this video does, I'll seriously take into consideration doing more of this kind. This has been such a long process. This video took almost 2 months to make. Originally, this started off as just me ripping on Astaroth, and it evolved into so much more. I actually started playing him. I started liking him, and it went from a little stupid like 2-minute joke skit to however long this is now. I have no idea how long this is. I think it's gonna be like 40 minutes long by the time I finish, but yeah, this was a bit of a journey. I'm gonna cry. I'll catch you later before I cry. Also, character creator is really fun to use. As you can tell, I had a lot of fun with it. I got one last one for you guys. One last one. Harada said 3, so ciao.
その他いろんなモードもご
Hey, let's start the game! You're doing pretty good. Pepsi for TV game. Everybody Pepsi! Drink Pepsi! Pepsi. Only my choice.
Shut up!